Active now. So before we start, I'd like to know what are your expectations from this course. You can write down on the chat box. So nothing very specific so far. These are obvious generic things that I intend to definitely cover. So getting on with the program now, the methodology of how this course is run is that it is divided into 4 sessions, and the remaining 3 Saturdays the session will be in the evening. Okay, so what I expect from everyone is just to follow the sessions because I have put the things chronologically. After each session, there is an individual assignment. And if you do it in time, I will provide individual feedback. As far as the study material is concerned, it is only there for your reference and you can read it whenever you feel like. There is no rush. So my expectation from everyone is just to follow the sessions or its recordings and stay up to date with their individual assignments so that they will be able to get what they want from this course. Okay, so any other query anybody has about the structure? The last assignment at the end is a group or individual assignment, which is basically a case study, and the presentation can be uploaded on the LMS. You can do it together. You can form your own groups. I am not going to formally form any groups here. You can do it individually or you can do it in a group. If anyone wants to take the initiative of creating a WhatsApp group, you can do that as well. And feel free to put my number over there or connect with me whenever anybody wants, now or at any time, later, even after the course, if any discussion with respect to marketing is required. Okay. So that's how this course is going to be followed. This is a little slide about myself, which you would have seen by now. Let's move ahead. In this particular session, we are going to cover three topics. One is the basic marketing model, the 4 P's of marketing, which everyone's heard of, and the contemporary method of viewing it. So this will cover some latest trends, and then the net customer delivered value model. So this is what we will cover today by 10 o'clock. To give you a little more brief, marketing is misunderstood more than it is understood nowadays. And everybody tends to believe that it's something anyone can do. In fact, marketing seems to have become more relegated to the advertising world, and everybody believes that it's only awareness and advertising that builds up on marketing. That's quite untrue. And in fact, advertising is a very small subset of marketing. Also, it is the most uncertain domain as far as any business, you know, parts are concerned. So, because of the uncertainty here, it is also the most lucrative. As far as many of you are concerned, this could be your next step as a career. Personally, I have also taken that transition from operations to marketing about 10 years down in my career before I switched to this education sort of entrepreneurship of my own. And therefore, it's a live example of how people make that shift. In fact, I'll go a step forward and say that my own experience tells me that those with good operations experience and logical background of operations do a far better job in marketing than even those stalwarts who've been there from the very beginning. So we'll understand that as we go ahead. Sometimes I feel I should rename this course as the mathematics of marketing, because there's going to be a lot of mathematics in whatever we do. And in any case, I think operations guys love numbers. But it is also true that if you're comfortable with the numbers, the results are the most probable and likely to be achieved, because otherwise it's all in the gray and it's all verbal. So before I wind up on this slide, I will again request all of you, please stay tuned to the sessions live or through recordings. Do the assignments. Do not worry about right or wrong. I will repeat that again. do the assignments. Do not worry about right or wrong. There is nothing right or wrong in marketing. It's only your own logic that you have to apply and enumerate. And then it can be discussed to see how it could have been done better. So the more original you are and the more bold you are, the more you will learn. In fact, it is a little difficult to try and put maths into everything, but that's where you need to be a little bold and move away from pure verbal answers to as much of mathematics as possible. Numbers create responsibility, and when the responsibility comes in, the results tend to follow. Uh, my mobile number has 9. Let me check. Sorry. Okay, I've corrected my mobile number. Okay, so that was the overview. As far as the deliverables are concerned, the two key metrics in marketing that is talked about nowadays is customer acquisition cost and customer lifetime value. So we will build up from scratch all the necessary concepts, and by the time you finish your case study, you should be reasonably good in these two key metrics, and you should have understood whatever are the basic tools and techniques that are required. So that's how it's going to flow. Any queries still here? Otherwise, I can start with the first topic. Any queries still here? Okay, so I guess I'll need to keep asking questions in the middle and see if you are getting the hang of it. Okay, so first question. Do you understand the difference between a graduate, a postgraduate, and a PhD? And after I give the answer, I will tell you why I asked that question. So quick answers, please. Whatever comes to your mind. Someone appears to have got unmuted. Okay, so graduate, someone who believes they know everything. Postgraduate realizes they know nothing. PhD realizes they know nothing, neither does anyone else. Okay, so that's my definition of graduate, postgraduate, and PhD. And by the time you complete this course, you will all be PhDs in marketing. This much I can assure you. Another important concept before we go ahead, try to write customer in Hindi. Try to write customer in Hindi. What do you get? So, Babu, Grahak is the meaning of customer in Hindi. Just write customer in Hindi. Don't know Hindi? No problem. So it sounds something like this. Kasht means pain and mar means die. So customers have to die in pain. That's their DNA. Okay. So don't ever try to satisfy a customer, because there is nothing like a customer who is satisfied. Okay, whatever God, nature, whatever it is, such a DNA has not been produced so far where you can have a satisfied customer. So key concepts of marketing I've just covered. Now the more generic theoretical concepts of marketing that are required, I will do that as well. And this Word document that I am creating will also be sent with you along with the presentation when I upload the recording on the LMS. The first presentation is a very important one, and therefore if you see below, after every slide I have put all the explanatory notes. So if you go into the notes part of it, you will get the complete notes on each slide for this presentation whenever you want to refer. And the aim of this particular presentation is to get you aligned to what marketing is and move you away from all those concepts and jargons and myths that tend to flood everybody's mind when we talk of marketing. So moving ahead, basic marketing model is simply as you see here. There are sellers, there are buyers. The sellers are trying to satisfy some requirement of the buyer through a market offering, and assuming there is no barter system, the buyer gives back to the seller money. Now, the seller makes the buyer aware of whatever are their offerings, which is called communicative information, and what in current trends we understand as advertising or promotion. And the buyer gives back to the seller a feedback, and that's all that is there as far as any marketing process is concerned. The key part here that we want to understand is feedback. So in what mode does a buyer give a seller feedback? How does a buyer give? So how does the buyer give feedback to the seller? Buying pattern, surveys, feedback form. Okay. So I'm sure many of you have given a lot of feedback in your lifespan so far. If I ask you a ratio of how many times you gave a good feedback voluntarily and how many times you gave a bad feedback voluntarily, then I think the ratio will be less than 10% for good feedbacks. Anybody who does not agree with this statement? So buyers rush to give written feedback mostly when they have something to complain about. Okay. Other than that, whatever is forced upon them or is casually done, that happens. But an engaged feedback from a buyer will generally come when they have something to complain about. It's rarely that someone is going to go and write too much about anything that they're very excited about, because at that time the customer believes that they have only got what they should have got from what they spent, and therefore there is nothing special to write about. But as soon as there is even a 1% problem in whatever is expected, is when the issues sort of tend to start. Okay. Uh, so every time you will keep understanding back to that previous thing which was in a lighter mode but is very true. A customer is always customer. So you do 99 things good for the guy, it's fine. You do one thing wrong and you can hear as many things as you can. That's the way they are built. And that's the way we need to accept them. The first answer that Tanisha gave on buying pattern, that that probably I would say is respect to sales. So this is the most common and important feedback for a company. That is, how are sales going? Good sales or repeat purchases implies comparatively satisfied. That word comparatively is very important. Comparatively means comparative over the other competition or players available in the market. Let's take a very recent example, Reliance Jio. For several years now, almost donkey years, we've been sort of stable on our mobile and internet and all that with two, three, four bigger names, Vodafone, Airtel, Idea, and so on, having all the mind space. And suddenly you find that a company comes in which has a very deep pocket, which has a certain identity of its own in the Indian context, And in a market where we thought that everything has got saturated and nothing new is possible, we see something that we had stopped even dreaming about. Long lines outside a Reliance Digital Center. I don't think any of us had imagined in the last couple of years that this kind of buyer market will be witnessed in mobiles or mobile phones. And here you have again in such a cutthroat or saturated market, someone who's got people to buy stuff in black as well. So where did all those satisfied customers suddenly vanish if this sort of thing happened? And that again explains customers don't get satisfied. Customers only look for a better choice. And in the absence of any better choice, they stay with whom they are. But as soon as they find a choice which they believe is better, there's no loyalty. They'll switch in no time. Okay. Any question till here? Okay. So just going forward again on this feedback, why do you think companies try to ask for structured feedback? So you have certain queries, questions, yes, nos, forms. You go to a McDonald here and there. Why do you think companies try to ask for structured feedback? So, Madan, I just shared with you earlier that it's very unlikely that an engaged feedback of any customer is going to be on anything that is good. The engaged feedback is generally always for a complaint. So a person who wants to give a feedback, a person who's you know actually thinking and keen to give a feedback has something to point out. Otherwise, it's all generic. Then how is such a customer feedback helping? And please relate it to all the times you have given feedback. Okay, Tanishka, I'll put it in a different manner. When we give that feedback, do we really think so much, or are we really putting in any great loyalty factor there? Or do we say when we give a feedback over there, we are telling ourselves that I will never go to any other place, I will never try any other product, even if I give 10 on 10 to this person? Does that 10 on 10 have any meaning? And these are things where you have to understand that objectives sometimes are different and they don't percolate anywhere, and hence they get distorted. And a lot of people within organizations also don't know the right objective. I find it amazing sometimes. I have a Mahindra Xylo and I go to these service centers, and whenever I go to the dealer service guy, the 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 supervisor who opens that job card, he's almost begging everybody at the end that give me a 10, give me a 10, give me a 10, you'll get a phone call and please give me a 10. So his concern of 10 is only because there is an incentive attached to the 10, and whether you like something or you don't like something, he'll beg, borrow, steal to get that 10 from you. And because you're not, the reason you give 10 is mostly because my car is in his hands, And if I have to come back here next time and I don't give him a 10, he may not give me good service or he may trouble me. So we give a 10 more out of fear rather than out of real service value. At least that's how I have seen the reality of my experiences outside. How many of you agree or disagree? Okay. So then if you agree to this and you understand this, then the reason companies give these structured feedback form is for the customer to give feedback to themselves. Surprising answer, right? But this is what it is. It is for feedback to themselves. So I make you write things so you get a feedback for yourself. And I'll explain that. When we teach, the purpose of the assignment is because when you do that assignment is when you actually apply and learn. Because how many ever words or lectures are communicated, the impact of that is only 10 to 20%. Whereas this the impact of actually doing and then understanding where the mistakes happen is is what gives that real aha feeling of having understood later. Similarly, whenever you give a feedback as a customer, and again you can relate it to your own experiences, it is always generic. So I'll put another example here, and if you okay, in school, college, etc., you were asked several times to rate faculty. Yes, you've been asked several times to rate faculty. Oh, marks were a concern then, degree was a concern, and fear of uh, something going wrong if we give bad feedback. True. So marks were a concern then, degree was a concern, and there was a fear that if anything goes wrong, which we hear our children also nowadays, that if I say something like that to my teacher, वो कहीं और भड़ास निकालेगी. So something will go wrong somewhere. Okay, and it is also true that if given a free hand without fear, the feedback would have been very, very different. Okay, so there are very, very few teachers that we have come across in our lifespan whom we have really respected. And it is not surprising. So, as a logic, I have tried to put that in front of a lot of people that the Britishers, when they ruled us and they left two cancerous things in our system, which are not there in the developed world. The first cancer was to give power to people without giving them money. So if you look at the judges and the police system and all these, they have tremendous power over others and they are not well paid. So a judge who gets a very small amount of money And if someone offers him something which is more than what he will earn in his own whole lifetime, and maybe enough for his kids as well, in just one judgment, is likely to crack quite quickly. So they allowed such a large incentive for corruption that corruption became rampant. And once it starts, there's no going back. The second key in this country is that everybody studies. Education is very much part of our DNA. All our mythology, everything starts from a Gurukul. And yet, if in any class you ask anybody who wants to be a teacher, there is hardly any student, 1 out of 1,000, who raises their hands. Which means that even early grooming inside our own family system tends to somehow give impressions to all our children that if you have to make a career, teaching is the last choice. It is only for those who do it as a hobby or who do it because they have other things which need to be given priority, or who do it because they do not get anything else to do. Now, in such a circumstance, when the person who's teaching you is not a role model at all, you keep looking at that fellow and saying that this is not how I want to be. How is there going to be any connect and any learning from such a fellow? Which is why our system tends to, talk more of guest sessions and this and that. But to be very candid, I have never got anything very great out of any guest session. It's like a Govinda movie. You enjoy for a couple of hours, more because the protagonist is what you want to hear and see, but the takeout is almost nothing. And in that kind of scenario, we ask people to give faculty feedback. So anyway, I won't take this debate further because it's more to understand the marketing concept and to break certain myths of marketing that we always have. So I'll put out a scale here. Outstanding, excellent, very good, good, fair. And another scale here, which is good, fair, satisfactory, unsatisfactory, poor. Okay. And I am putting marks over here in terms of a monetary scale. The same marks hold valid for this scale. Are you being able to understand what I am trying to convey? Just by putting this, what do you understand? If you look at these two scales, which primarily get converted into the same monetary scale, what do you understand? Okay. The second one is more spread and provides better results. Now, I relate this to the example I gave above. You have to rate your faculty. Can you give anything below fair? When we are rating our faculty, even fair is very difficult to give. So now compare the two scales. If you give the second scale to somebody, you are almost forcing everybody to talk about good, fair, and at best satisfactory, which means the scale will always be between 3 to, or let's say the other way around. So the scale will always be between 3 to 5. Whereas if we had given this option of changing that scale and making it the words in this manner, without talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it would have been fairly honest to say that most of the ratings would have come between 1 to 3. So customers today are being guided. They are being uh, they are doing things which they think they are doing voluntarily, but actually they are being guided into doing things because the marketing people understand their psyche, understand their background, understand how they have been groomed in their countries and how they think. You will probably now understand why any product review you go and see anywhere online, you will always find a rating which will be between 3 to 5. Very, very rarely you will find anything between 1 to 3. So people believe that, a lot of fake ratings are being put and this and that. But I just explained to you how it can be guided simply by how you word the scale and how you put the scale so that people involuntarily tend to give you between 3 to 5. Couple of days back, my wife bought uh, an Apple laptop, MacBook from Amazon, and the delivery part was very shoddy. She tried to put it on the feedback. As soon as she put a feedback of 1, it came back with an answer that your feedback was not accepted, and there was a long list of guidelines that need to be put for the feedback to be put there. The same feedback, changing the rating from 1 to 5, and it got accepted. So you have junk written there, but their algorithm could not find that junk. All it could find that the rating was 5. Okay. So even if you want to write something to them, you tend to give them a 5 because at least it will be put over there. Are other customers going to be really bothered by that? I have very, very little doubt. If you as a customer put a 5 and write any rubbish over there also, someone who wants to buy is going to say, why did he give 5 there? So as humans, we want to justify what we want and we want to believe what we want. And that's what marketing is all about. So that's as far as the basic marketing model is concerned. Anybody has any queries now? So you ask people to give feedback so that customers can look at different parameters and engage a little more. For example, in McDonald's, there will be taste, service, air conditioning, ambience, etc. So even if air conditioning was bad and we are a little upset. Okay, so this is the only reason for feedback, that every customer tends to be generic. So if someone is good, whatever they do wrong is forgotten because everything is good. And if someone is not good, then going by your thoughts, what percentage can we trust online feedback? So to be honest, Madan, it's an important question. And if you are going to learn more about marketing, you're going to understand that a lot of things are concocted. So more awareness is also a problem at times, and this is what you all are going to experience. So probably what I will answer to you over here is that the online feedback should be actually read in totality. Ratings are immaterial. People write experiences include the. So as I gave you example of this experience of my wife, of course that experience is past now, because once it was in her hand and she had vented her feelings, and then she started using it and she was happy with the usage, so it's all gone in the past. But yet what she wrote there does give feedback to other people, that you could expect some glitches in the delivery. Okay, they could end up going to a wrong address. They could end up not delivering on 2 days. They could end up having the delivery guy writing something else, so they have these glitches. And that expectation is all that you could get out of that feedback. Otherwise the ratings, they're basically concocted. By the way, I happen to work a lot in the tea industry part when I was in operations. And someday, if you want to give up tea, then get some more knowledge of tea from me. I can guarantee you, by just telling you how tea is processed, what are its parts, and giving you all the facts, you will reduce your tea consumption by at least 70 to 80%. Okay, it's not harmful at all. Please don't get me wrong. But most of the time, you're only drinking hot water. It's not harmful at all. Please go ahead and have as much tea. And therefore, I am not even trying to tell you that it's phenomena. But when you know actual processes and all that, then sometimes you really get a feeling at times that something that I was gung about for so long has nothing. Okay, I'll give you a very small example since you really asked about it. I'm sure everyone drinks a lot of tea here, and we are very excited about it. And we all have that special tea available in our house, which is called a Darjeeling tea or a Assam tea or a Sri Lankan tea, which was very costly and which was, very, it's been kept only for special occasions. Now I'm going to tell you something very striking. And whenever you drink this tea, I'm quite sure you get no flavor, no taste at all. It's pure hot water and you add a lot of sugar to somehow get some taste in it. But because it has been served very well in the best of crockery, and it has been continuously told to everybody who is drinking that tea, this is special tea taken out for a special occasion. Therefore, everyone is always saying that it is very great. But 10 out of 10 times, after having that tea, the next chance you get to have tea somewhere else, you're going to say, can I have a cup of my normal regular tea? Somehow that tea was very nice, but I'm not satisfied. Does it happen? I'm sure it happens. So the reason is that tea loses its flavor within 60 days. And the tea that is coming to us from the tea gardens in this country, our logistics is so poor that by the time it reaches us, it is already more than 60 days old. It's only the technology in terms of vacuum packing and all that which allows freshness for some time, provided you have taken the most recent manufacturing, and after you open that pack, you are using it within 5 to 10 days. Other than that, all the tea that we are drinking basically has lost or any flavor or anything, and whatever flavoring and anything that is there in that are all put separately so that people believe that they are having masala tea and flavored tea. And we ourselves, while cooking it, we put some elaichi, we put some masala, we put some things to give it flavor. Otherwise it's just there. If this knowledge actually seeps into every customer, the tea industry will die. But that's the reality. The Oriental tea is the only tea which really has all the medicinal properties of tea. In fact, Kaustubh, when you wrote that, tea is the most medicinal plant, and every part of it, right to its roots, is useful. But the green tea, which is not processed in the manner it is done here, black tea is basically burnt tea, is what retains all its medicinal properties, and it is kept that way by keeping it in minus 80 degrees centigrade or something like that, and they have a very different sort of process there. And that's how that green tea helps those Orientals have a longer life and all those things. So Kahwa to some extent in the Kashmir region is a hybrid between that, but those are the people who are taking out real value out of tea. We're just having something because we have been trained to have it. Okay. Uh, so you get a little more insight. We'll go ahead. So I'll go a little faster now. So you already understood the basic marketing model. This is something which gives you a little more uh, yeah, Vivek, we checked that out, and fortunately, because it had come that time and this glitch had happened, the first thing we did was go to the Apple site and check out the serial number and see its validity and all that. And I did a chat also with the people on Apple there, and everything was in order. That serial number got registered, and our warranty, guarantee, everything is there. So from the Apple perspective, the experience was good, and it seems to be all fine so far. Okay, so coming back to the basic marketing model, just as an example, I've tried to put a few pictures here. The first picture shows a marriage. This is the time where both parties, the buyer and the seller, in this case, I don't know who's the buyer, who's the seller, but uh, anyway, both parties, that's why I say, are very, very excited. Anything that they do is all acceptable. So that towel left on the bed after a bath is a good, exciting thing for the first few months because that's how we are. But after that, for the rest of the lifetime, that is again how we are. But it's a problem always, and we never change. So the first part of it is the picture shows you that honeymoon period. It's a time when you buy, and at that time, because you are the one who has invested, who've put your money, how could you say you've done a wrong decision? Therefore, anything and everything is good, and you want to justify that decision. Coming back to that same Apple example, because the Apple site and that chat gave us solace quickly, and we wanted that solace having spent 50,000 and knowing there is a greater pain in giving it back and all that. Therefore, the honeymoon continues. It's only when some real problem comes and they do not respond to that is when we are going to start crying. But then, yeah, we are customer, so in any case, we'll cry when we have to cry. The second is the next stage where the same things are told, but the person is just not willing to hear. The third is an interesting phase, and which I'm sure all of you who are married people would have understood that it's a much happier situation when the spouse is in stage two. You know that all is well, there is still hope. When it goes to stage three and the spouse becomes quiet, you're in deep trouble because then you're the one who is talking, trying to pacify, somehow trying to get that person back into that second mode again. So, another good insight for our married people, one lasts for a short period, that's a fact of life, it gets finished, that's why it's called a honeymoon period. Two is the best phase, keep it going as long as you can. Whenever it goes to three, try to get it back to two. The success to a happy married life, one speaks, the other listens. And as long as you keep that, that's also a marketing principle. And we are all, as humans, born to market ourselves or something or the other at all times. And if three goes bad, then you reach stage four where the breakup happens. The breakup is generally more silent and the customer just walks off and becomes unconcerned after that. So that was the example again to go through this basic marketing model. I generally spend an hour there because this is a little change from what one expects of a marketing program. Everybody talks only of latest jargon and all that, but you need to understand the basics and what is the real logic behind things for you to be really successful in this field. So part A, as I can say, is done. Uh, you are supposed to by this time have got engaged into what marketing is about, and probably you've now reached that stage where you feel you know nothing of marketing. So at this stage, any questions? I can take that and then I'll start converting you into a PhD. Okay. So as an organization, what are we really trying to solve? So what's our problem statement? Having a legally profitable organization with comparatively happy or satisfied customers. This part we very clearly understood that you don't have anything like a happy or satisfied customer. You can only have a comparatively happy or satisfied customer. Now, two things over here which are up to debate, especially in the current startup environment. One is legal and one is profitable. Legal is little easier to understand. Uh, at least I believe that we are not trying to apply this marketing to uh, illegal businesses like drugs or kidnapping or anything. And we are trying to operate only in the legal framework in which one fear is not there that we will go to jail. So that part is kept apart. The second, and which is something which I'm sure is debatable and many of you would like to ask, is why does the company need to be profitable? As on date, most of the companies that we know are doing very well and which have been in the news for several years now. The Flipkarts and Amazon, Snapdeals, various startups, Paytm, none of them are profitable. And yet all their co-founders are millionaires and billionaires now, and huge amount of money is being pumped in from all over the world, whether it's the Olas or Pepperfry or Urban Ladders or whatever. None of them are profitable. Then why is the basic question being profitable? Why are we trying to solve for profitability? Okay, so we have one answer. In the short span, no harm. In the long span, they must be profitable. Yeah, so this statement that has been given by Kostub is the essence of any business. So when we say you have to start with a funding, a working capital, there is a gestation period or there is a time to reach a break even and then make money. That's not normal business pattern. Everybody is supposed to be doing it in that manner only. And therefore, profitability is an important part if any business has to run over a longer time. And which is why probably the startup thing has grown into a bubble now and it's starting to burst because there are just too many people who are getting ideas and believing that we'll just sell the idea somehow or just we just sell that our app has got so many downloads, and with no revenue model in sight we will still get some funding and we'll make money. So these are flip sides that have happened. Profitability has to happen, and even if you look at a Flipkart or a Snapdeal or anyone, at least we are believing, even if it is because of the investors, that now the screws are being tightened to at least reduce the burn rate and move towards profitability. So we will have a topic on this as well in session 3, where I take up market share versus revenue share, and we will understand that critical decision for a marketing person of how to compromise between gaining market share versus gaining profit. So profit percentage will definitely get sacrificed with larger market share, and it's only that higher market share in absolute terms will give more money because there is still a profit percentage from each customer, which is how businesses survive. So customer lifetime value hence becomes the critical parameter. This is the reason why our basic problem statement comes down to this. Moving ahead, we've all heard of the 4 P's of marketing: product, place, price, promotion. So what should be the sequence? If 1 is product, 2 is place, 3 is price, 4 is promotion, what should be the sequence? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 4, 2, 3, 1, 3, 2, 4. What should be the sequence? Just put your numbers there. In what sequence should we plan? Okay, 2, 1, 3, 4. 1, 3, 4, 2. 1, 3, 2, 4. 4, 3, 1, 2. Okay, so we've got 5 completely different answers, and for lack of time, I won't debate the logic of each one of you, but I'll try to give you an answer through questions. So let's rephrase these 4 P's in terms of questions. How target audience. Okay, so I've put 4 questions there, and I've again given the same 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, what should be 1? What should be the first one? So the first one is obviously product. Till you don't know what you are going to sell, you can't do anything else. Then 4 is also very clear. It is promotion, because making people aware of what you're selling, how much you're selling for, where they can get it. That's what promotion is. So till you don't answer the top 3 questions, you just can't do the fourth one. That's 4. Now the only debatable part is what is 2 and what is 3. Tend to be interchangeable earlier, because place was also a sort of constraint. With online and physical marketplace going out of fashion, place is so 2, so 3, price becomes second. So the 1, 3, 2, 4 is the most logical sequence. Anybody wants to debate that? Are we agreed? Is the logic sound? Tanishka answered that right. Yes. So I'm assuming she had the same logic. And all I'll expect from all of you over this course is to just build your own logic. So you don't need to worry about anybody else, anybody's thought, whether it's a Philip Kotler or a Nituj Gupta or anybody or anything that you read. Marketing is all about building your own logic. At a later point, yes, I think it may become 3 Ps with place becoming completely irrelevant. On the other hand, if you go to the internet, you'll find 7 Ps of marketing and 8 Ps of marketing and God knows how many Ps. So they've started putting physical evidence and packaging and process and all that. But basic is this. An important P which seems to be missing. An important P, which is P for people, seems to be missing. How can you have any marketing plan without the target audience or the customer in mind? So why do you think it is missing? Why do you think it is missing? Okay, so reason is so you don't have uh, a product till you not planned it for some target audience. You can't launch it in the market till your pricing is not within the affordability range and competitive enough for those people to buy. The place is where they can be reached out to, and promotion is again keeping that same target audience in mind. So as we go ahead, we will understand each one of that in the sessions to follow. So that's the 4 P's. Let's go ahead and explain it in a very different manner now. So a lot of you are from the IT sector. Anyone here who's not from the IT sector? Okay. So tell me, is software a product or a service? Is software a product or a service? It is both. So Windows as a software is a product. You will pay a sales tax on that. And various other softwares like even this GoToMeeting that we are using, this is a service for which we pay a service tax. So currently the differentiation between product and service is more on the taxation of what is a product and what is a service, where you are paying a sales tax and where you are paying a service tax, which will also vanish by April 2017 in India because you will have a goods and services tax. So it will be again very difficult to change that. So in fact, what do you do when you have such a confusion? So when you have two kids and they are fighting and both are right, what do you do? How do you satisfy both? Yeah. So if you have two people who are equally competent to become a president, then if there is a choice, you get a dark horse in between who is the least, uh, you know, who has least issues with anybody, and that person becomes the president. So it happens in India a lot that the competent people get left out because those people who are politically correct eventually will take that place because both sides says neither mine neither yours, party is always right. So the how do you satisfy it? Change both the names to something else. So here it is called solution. Now there is no confusion between product or service. Everything is a solution because basically whether it's a product or services, you are basically satisfying a need or requirement of the customer. So whatever need you're satisfying, that is the solution, immaterial of whether it's being done by a product or service. In fact, software, the IT world has what has changed even marketing and everything around us because that technology has taken us into virtual domains which were never planned when all these books were written. So product versus service for several years, the basic difference was tangibility, where service was intangible and product was tangible. Software changed that. And now we should only talk of solution. Okay. So probably after this, if you get a chance to interact with the government, you can tell them GST tax should now be only solutions tax. Okay. So product versus solution. Just to differentiate, we've said that the need was not just a burger or to satisfy hunger, but the need was also to satisfy thirst. The need was also to have something sweet. The need was also to have, so the need was complete, or the requirement of a customer was to have a complete meal. So instead of just a standalone burger, the solution now is to have a combo meal or whatever, with an added thing of the ingredients, hygiene. So putting everything together on what is the need of a customer, why he is buying at a McDonald's and not at a roadside vendor, because he wants a good ambience, because he believes that here the ingredients used are more healthier, whatever. So, all those things put together, you answer solution simply by what is the need of the customers, and that becomes more generic. Then the second, access. Access is fairly simple. E-commerce has taught us now that you don't need a physical marketplace any longer. So rather than saying uh, physical, online, or virtual, offline, it is better to say access to net or access to physical market. So instead of place, it has become access. Simple. Now comes the part which is where things have changed completely. So price versus value. This is where there is a complete change. So please understand this part properly. So product versus solution was fairly simple. Place to access was again fairly simple, but price to value is completely different. What do we understand by price? What do we understand by price? What is price? Yeah, answers please. What do you understand by price? So, Madan has written this answer. Value of product including profit. And this is where you need to understand the difference between price and value. So this is not value, but rather than this word value, we should use the word cost. Cost to customer. So monetary cost, currency spend, all that is right. And that is how we need to now differentiate value. How does the value come? What is the value to customer? So instead of cost, it's a politically good word that marketing has fed into people to say value. This is the value. But is there any value in a cost? There is no value in a cost. A cost is a spend. A value is a gain. A cost is a spend. How can you get value by spending? Yes, exactly. So benefits after using the product. This is value. So you have yourself given the difference here. How do we now give this uh, a number? A price can be given a number easily because the seller is telling us that this is how much I want to charge you for giving you this product or service. How do I give value a number? So how do you give value a number? So companies now focus on product value and monetary price is rather a corollary. If you can give more value, you can derive more price and therefore become more profitable. Example, Apple. So if you put two phones together and you remove the brand name Apple and ask someone to choose purely on the specifications that are given there. Suppose I put a Apple and a Xiaomi product together and ask to choose only on specifications without knowing the product. 100 out of 100 times. Now, and yet Apple with a much higher monetary cost and much greater profitability continues to being the darling of the market. Why is that? So focus is on product value. Focus is on product value. Okay. And value comes from usage. Another very important word, if you gift something to someone, I give an iPhone, gift an iPhone to someone. What is the value to that fellow? Till they don't use that product, it is of zero value. So suppose I go to my grandfather and I tell him that this is an iPhone and he asks me how much, I say 60,000 rupees. I'm likely to get a slap. He's going to say, how does this 500 rupee phone that I have in my hand compare with this 60,000 rupee phone that you are giving me? Does it give me better sound? Because that's all I use. And then you tell him it is complicated enough that you have to tap here, you have to do this, you have to do that. He's going to say, for this piece of nonsense, you have spent so much money. That's how you generations are flouting everything. So till someone doesn't know how to use the product and to derive value out of that, it is meaningless. And this is a very, very important change that has to be understood in marketing now for any kind of survival in the future. So cost is not the key metric. Cost is a metric that gets derived from other parts rather than being the reason in the beginning. Okay, so you want to see affordability, you want to see other things, but when you have put all the other pieces of it in place, and we will study that in the next 15-20 minutes, the net customer delivered value model, which will then wind up this session. Okay, so value comes from usage. Any questions so far? Okay, so how I'm going to put a number to that value, that we will understand now. So for that, I need to first give you the meaning of brand. What do you understand by brand? What in your terms is the meaning of brand? Okay, one quick question. Do you all have a class after 10? So is it okay if I continue for 15-20 minutes beyond 10? Okay. So that's a little relief because I would like these explanations to go in very clearly. Okay. So brand, coming back to this brand, the first answer I got was identifying name. Okay. Showcase. Face value of a solution. Differentiator from competitor. Okay. All good answers. So my next question, how much impact does advertising have on building brand? On a scale of 1 to 5. On a scale of 1 to 5, what do you think? How much impact does advertising have on building a brand? So Madan is now slightly more confused, getting more of into the post-graduation mode. So he is given an answer 3. So neither here, neither there. Take it any side. Others still believe that the impact is stronger, but they've not given full 5 because obviously I have something different to share. Okay, so answer is less than 1. So not in this cube. Initial impact is very high. No, even initial impact is not high because you have just answered the question here, and hence you should be able to see this now. Let me give you a definition of brand. Consistent customer experience concept. So brand can only come from brand therefore cannot be built by advertising. Advertising can only create awareness and hence initial impact of advertising to get trial sales could be high. Okay, any questions on this? This is another critical thing to understand. Whenever we feel that there is a problem and advertising is the solution, you can take it for granted that you are going to kill your organization. And we've seen several of these startups which have failed simply because they've taken humongous amount of funding, and when they were trying to generate sales, all they did was kept on creating more and more advertising. Full paper page ads can only create awareness, they cannot generate sales. They can generate a trial, but after the trial, if the experience is bad, you will lose more customers than you will gain. And unfortunately, I come across too many startup people who tend to always keep saying we will figure out things later. When we get people trying to use, we will figure out. Even if you give people things for free and they don't end up getting what they were requiring, they are not going to come back very easily. And a classic example is all these grocery startups and all these food startups where they ended up giving you free dishes, but there were so many glitches in their methodology that you never built a confidence that they could ever deliver it properly. As long as it's free, I have the time, I can live with those glitches, I will do it. But that's not how any business is going to get built. So you have Grofers and Tiny Owl and God knows how many who never solved the real product value. You had these Grofers guys standing in local outlets with their bags and their t-shirts and on the app filling the stuff, taking a hit on the margins and going and delivering. How is it creating value? Even the customer is knowing that you're trying to give me something free, so I'll take it as long as you're giving it to me. But when you don't have your own product differentiation, you don't know where you're sourcing it from, all that is to be figured out later, then it's all humbug. So for all of you who intend to get into startup domains, important things to keep in mind: product value is going to be the key, and then other things. Brand will be built from usage. The more people will use, the more the brand will get built. Now you can start seeing why Flipkart has been a bigger success, because all said and done, comparatively, people have always been happier with the performance and delivery of a Flipkart, and that is where the trust is more compared to other e-commerce firms. Amazon is a similar example. It has come in and still been successful. You could have an Alibaba which comes in and gets off the ground much faster because it has a reputation of the past in other countries of being a big player too, which will help it. So you don't have to question somebody whether a BMW or a Mercedes will perform, because whoever has used it has always said that they've got something good out of it. So brand will only come from usage and customer experience. It can therefore not be built in a day, and it cannot even be killed very fast, because if there is consistent experience, it means that the processes and the product that finally comes out is very, very consistent. Again, a reason why Apple scores. So if the difference in cost is almost 100%, the same specifications are available for 25K with a reasonably well-known brand somewhere else, but it is here for 50K or 55K or whatever, I would still move there, because as a solution, the value that I am deriving from consistent performance, long-term performance, is far more than that differential in cost. Apple does not claim that it is not making humongous profit. It definitely claims it's making a lot of profit, and it shows a lot of profit as well. But people still keep buying it because there is just too much consistency that they have built in. They take care that every product piece of theirs gets going, least problems, and if there are problems, they get solved. So people are willing to pay a higher price because they derive much higher value. Things clear so far? Okay, so promotion versus education. Promotion, again, this is not very different. It's just that since we are talking of value versus price, so promotion was only telling cost, features, and availability. Education is also trying to tell about multiple uses and how to derive more value. Okay. So everything finally boils down to the differentiation between the two models is only on price versus value. That is what we need to understand very, very clearly. All other parts automatically get derived. So value comes from using of the solution. Access is simply because we are not wanting to differentiate between virtual and physical world. And instead of only talking about the cost, features, and availability, education in advertising is going a step ahead to talk about how to derive more value. So you will start understanding from this that there's just a lot of jargon all around. Unique selling proposition, USP. What is USP? Again, trying to generate more value. So someone is talking about a very great camera in their smartphone. In other words, they're trying to tell people that if you use this phone also as a camera, then you derive that much more product value. More about usage. How many different ways you can use the product. Okay, so I'll move into the final leg of today's presentation now, which is the net customer delivered value model. Unfortunately, on the net, you will get very little material on MCD and lots on CLV. So we will be covering CLV, which is a key metrics later, but I think the build-up is important of what the company gives to the customer first, because before deriving from the customer. So CLV is customer lifetime value, what the company gets from the customer. This is net customer delivered value, what the company gives to the customer. So if you understand what you are giving to the customer first, then the likelihood is that you will be able to derive more when you take from the customer. Okay, and from that we come to this model. This is where your mathematics starts, and you have to put numbers into everything. It will be difficult to start with, logic will be difficult, but with practice it will happen. At this stage, all I would request you is do not do ratings. Do not do ratings. Do not give good, bad, ugly. Give clear monetary numbers. Difficult, but needs to be done, and we'll understand that now. Okay, so first let's come to the costs. What is the customer costs? Customer spends to gain access or ownership. What does the customer spend? One is money. Simple, straightforward figure. Okay, so for this model, so for MCDV model, fill these numbers first. So whenever you apply this model, first put that monetary cost. Monetary cost number is very clear and you will put it. Okay. It will tell you exactly what has been spent. Okay. Then the second is time cost. How do you put a time cost? how do you put a time cost? Everything has to be in currency, rupees, dollar, or whatever. So time spent in research, going to market, waiting for product, delivery, whatever. This is a time cost. One way of doing it is to use the concept of opportunity cost. What could have been earned or gained in time. Okay. Now important, this model is used for okay, did you understand this? So if I say that I'm putting an Apple iPhone here and I'm putting a Samsung i7 here, so what is relevant is whether there is a greater time cost for any of these products, or it is not relevant whether we are saying that there is a 10 rupee cost here or something like that. So whether it's 100 and 110 or 10 and 20, the meaning is still the same. Got it? Is it clear? Anybody is not understood? Okay. Okay. So NCDV is used to make a purchase decision. Okay. Okay. And as a company, I want to know how do I score. So someone asked a question in the beginning, how do I launch a new product or something like that? Okay, so let's take that example. Suppose I am launching Pixel. Okay, Google Pixel is a brand new launch that is going to happen. So what is the target audience? What is the target audience for this Google Pixel? I'm sure you all read about it a little bit. Yeah. So high income group. What is the smartphone of choice for this target audience? Okay, so clearly Apple iPhone, which means that if I have to become successful, I must get buyers who will choose this product in comparison to iPhone. At least some. Okay, till here it's okay. Till here it's okay. Madan, who's this person whose identity is coming only as name one? It's name. Uh, okay, Ramya. Okay. So Ramya, Madan, till here it's okay. Any confusion? Okay. So now I put the NCDV model and I put the two competitors. Google. Okay, I'll try and finish another 15-20 minutes. I know I've run out of time, but I think this is important. Monetary cost. How much is the Apple iPhone 7? We'll say roughly 70,000. And the Google has also put it as 67,000. Okay. So these two figures is clearly available to us when we start trying to apply this model. Now let's come to time cost. Will I be spending more time to get a Google, what is called Pixel versus buying an Apple iPhone? Will I be spending more time? Yes. So if I'm the marketing person at Google Pixel, I know that people will need more time to come to a decision to sell this. So suppose I say that all that research and all will take me 1 hour more. And for that, my opportunity cost is say 1,000. So I can put 0 for Apple and 1,000 for this. Okay. Or I can say the cost of going to the market and coming for Apple is going to be 500 rupees. But for Google, besides going to the market, I have to also do a research and other things, and it will be 1,000 more for me. So 1,500. Okay. So what I said was 0 and 1,000, 500 and 150 are basically having same difference. Okay. Now is it clear? So you need not get too concerned about whether I am being able to put exact costs over here. I am more concerned about what is the differential. Okay. Now is it clear? Anybody has any query? I've told you every time, trying to put mathematics will not be very easy, but put whatever logic you have and try to put it. Yes, it can be same. You can say that it is going to be same. So you can even say 0, 0. Okay, so for the next one, I'll put 0, 0. Energy cost. So it's a corollary to time, that how much effort I have to do, effort spent by the customer. And I can say that my effort is going to be same only, whether it's Apple or Google. once I've already covered it in my time cost. So I can say 0, 0. Okay. So you can also have 0, 0. If there is no difference. Mohan, is it clear? Anybody else? Any confusion? Okay. Now let's come to psychic cost. This is where you'll have a little issue. What is psychic cost? Psychic means mental cost of decision. And this is how this model becomes very relevant, because it tends to always justify the product that you want to purchase in the first case. How? That we will just understand. So cost of decision making. Is there going to be a higher cost for taking a decision on Google Pixel? Definitely. So any new product, even if it comes from Google or wherever, there is a cost. Now suppose I say, and this will vary for every person, how much discount on the monetary price will make this decision to buy Pixel easy. How much discount on the monetary price will make this decision to buy Pixel easy? So if Pixel gives an offer of 20,000 price for first 1,000, will take it. How many will take this offer? Okay. So for Kaustubh, psychic cost is okay. So to make my decision easy, and it can be different for different people. There could be a lot of people who might take it just because they will always buy a Google product and not an Apple. So many people might just go for that. The reason I think they've kept the same kind of pricing is because that's how it is. So for me, who is not an Apple fan myself, I would probably go for a Pixel if I want to spend that kind of money. Currently, I'm happy with a much cheaper phone of other brands, so I'm okay with that. But a person like me who's not very keen on Apple and willing to spend that kind of money may go for the same kind of pricing. There could be someone that even if free will not take, implies psychic cost greater than the monetary price. Okay, so let's say psychic cost. Now, where should that psychic cost come? In Apple or Google? Where should I put that 47,000? Yes. So I have to put that 47,000. So basically, there is zero cost to take the decision of Apple and 47,000 further cost to make my decision change easier. So total cost here, it is 70500, and here it is 1150. See, so when the product gets actually put in the market, even if they have a competitive pricing, uh, no, I put the price as 20,000, so the discount was 40,000, 47,000. So whatever is that discount at which you are willing to buy. If you are willing to buy at 20,000 discount, you can put psychic cost as 20. Okay, so if you thought discount is 20,000, then this becomes 20,000. 80, 88,500. Okay, got it? I think good you asked that question, so it will become more clear of how we are putting the psychic cost. What is that which can make me shift my decision? Now I have put my total cost together, and despite the fact that Google is launched at 67, for me the price looks more like a 88,500. Now let's come to the values. So first is product value. So how do we come to product value? So what you have to do is assume that the two products do not have a brand name attached. Do not know the brand name or the monetary price. Now check out the features and see that for the expected period of usage, how much value can be. Okay, so let's say calling, I will derive 20,000 value. For the camera, I will derive another 15,000 value, assuming 40 months of usage. Any logic, so you can give any logic for yourself. Assuming 15,000 and so on. Okay. So again, absolute is not important, differential is important. And suppose I say my Apple iPhone product value comes to 1 lakh and my Google product value comes to 1 lakh. Okay. So again, you will see, you will try to compare those features which are extra. You will try to compare those features which show better value. So camera has so many pixels, this has so many pixels. There is so much RAM in this, there is so much RAM in this, there is so much hard disk in this, there is so much hard disk in this, or whatever they call it, internal storage, and so on. Okay, and this is how you have to give it a number, a number that uh, comes. Remember, you are not considering the price at all, so the number can be even lesser than the price. The number can be anything. You are not considering the brand value, you are not considering the price. So 1 lakh, 115. Okay. Anybody has any question till here? Okay. The next is services value, which is after sale service. Relevance according to product. So for a consumable like a soap, this is here it is relevant. So I'll give more value to Apple here because they have an established service network. And how I'm giving it more value? Because my downtime will be lesser if my product is serviced in time. So therefore, I'll say that I'm giving it a 20% more value on the product value. So another 20,000 here. I am assuming that Google will also have its things in place, but since I'm not aware of it, and I'm only aware that otherwise their other services have been good, so I'll say that I might get a 10,000 value here as well, or a 10%, 11,500. So as I just said, for a consumable, it is irrelevant. Consumable like a soap, it is irrelevant. So it will just become 0, 0. So only what is relevant, you would be taking that. Then you have personnel value, interaction with company. So customers do give a value to the kind of interaction they have. If you go to a store where the person does not interact very well, then generally you don't want to go to that place. So the entire CRM or customer relationship management, as they call it, is based on this value. How to make the customer feel a little more pleasant and open to interacting. Okay. So at Apple, the experience is quite good. And in fact, in Google, so far, this experience is very pathetic because reaching out to Google is very difficult, maybe because they are not in such products right now. So even on your Gmail or something, or on your Google, if suddenly they go into a language which is not what you want and you keep changing it back, even then it doesn't work. Like nowadays in my phone, Bengali keeps coming because I searched some Bengal things in the middle when I was looking at some students who had come from Bengal, and everything now gets translated into Bengali. How much ever times I keep putting it back in English, it doesn't work so fast. And I'm no way of going across to Google. So personnel value, I would give much higher to Apple. I'll say a 10,000 here and a 0 here. Okay, and then brand value. Now brand value is somewhat similar to psychic cost. So higher cost of decision making is also because there is no background or lower trust present. Brand value made from such trust. So trust is what we are talking about as the important underlying factor cost and which. So they are sort of similar. So as a thumb rule, higher psychic cost implies lower brand image. May not be this necessarily this, but this is as a thumb rule. So since I'm giving a 20,000 differential on psychic cost here, Google is fairly trustable as well. So I'll probably not give the same differential. I'll give a differential of only 10,000 here. So this is for me the values. Now what is the total value? For Apple, it's working out to 140,000. So this is 1265. Okay, NCDV is equal to total value minus total cost. So 70500 equal 38,000. So for me, it's still 31,000 in favor of Apple. So if discount is further increased by 31,000, then I will change. NCDV can be positive or negative. Higher positive is bigger, so higher NCDV. Lower negative is. Okay, Mohan, answered that. If your NCDV comes negative, whatever is least, whatever is the highest value, that is the highest. If there could be one negative value, one positive value. Obviously, the positive value is higher. Both negative, lesser negative is better. Both positive, higher positive is better. So that's how you find out NCDV. Okay, thank you for your patience. I will send you this presentation so you will understand it better along with the other things. The first assignment is on the 4Ps model and NCDV. I have, I think, pretty clearly put everything here. Still, anybody has any doubts, feel free to connect with me in any manner at any time. Please do your assignments in time so that I can give you feedback and you can keep the learning process going. Every next session will chronologically build on the previous sessions. So we will do segmentation, targeting, positioning next. And NCDV helps build on that because you're now trying to find a target audience which derives best NCDV for your product. Okay, so in the current context, if you did see what I did, Google cannot easily sell to me because my perceptions are different and they need to find a different target audience which can be profiled and which is likely to get a higher NCDV, or they will have to come in with much greater discounts. Otherwise, they will not be able to get the traction or sales. I will send this PPT within the next 15 minutes, and then once the recording gets converted, I will send that as well. Okay, hope it was educative enough for today, and I'm sure a lot of food for thought on marketing has been given. See you again next Saturday. Thank you very much.